I made a new comic. I'm really, really prolific. I draw more than anyone else in the whole entire world. And sometimes those drawings form comic books, as you humans call them. This one is called Death Fist. It's based on a thing. See, years ago, or like a year or so ago, I don't know, I don't keep track of time. Time doesn't even exist, it's made up. I drew this in a podcast episode. Me and my gang were all hanging out, which is me alone in my room talking to myself, knowing that at some point people will be watching the video, so it was kind of like we're talking to each other, even though it's just me sat alone in my room talking to myself, recording myself drawing and talking. I drew this guy because I like drawing these, so I like one big arm characters. It's like a trope or a meme within myself, within my own, fucking zeitgeist of art within me and my own artimatic universe. I like one big arm people, when you give them one big arm and they fucking beat people up with one big arm. And I drew this guy. I thought, what if he had one big arm and like a skull face and like he looked cool? What would his name be? Well, it's like Fist of Death. Like Death Fist. Oh, that's quite a cool name. I'll go with that. Look at that Death Fist across the knuckles. But see, there's an extra finger to fit it. That's silly, isn't it? And I started just drawing him more because I quite like that idea. And I thought, what would be cool? I'd give him like a poncho. It's like a cape, but it's not. It's stolen from Unbreakable a little bit, but not too much. We'll look past that. It's fine. I thought he looked cool. Give him a hat sometimes when he's in disguise and he's like got his one big arm. He keeps it covered up with his poncho, and then he fucking brings it out and he fires people up and all that shit. And then people kept going on about him. They were like, hey, Ewan, you should really do... Oh, look at that, a big pink one, a big pink Death Fist. People wanted to see more of it, and I was like, oh, I could actually... I could turn it into a comic. Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be a funny thing to do? Turn it into like an actual comic. So I started doing like concept sketches. I actually started doing research into like, what the fuck does a poncho look like? How the fuck am I supposed to draw a poncho? I don't know how to draw a poncho. I never drawn a poncho in my goddamn life, poncho. So I started researching ponchos and, some sketches. Like, oh, this guy, he looks pretty happy in his poncho, and developing ideas and Death Fist, see how he looks, get some facial expressions, poses and things. And I like the shape of his head, because it's like a skull, but like not a skull. It can move like flesh, and it's got an ear, just because I thought it would be fun to draw an ear. I like the hood, that kind of works as like a scarf when he's like that. And or what if he was like a Clint Eastwood cowboy? I didn't really do anything with that, but it was fun to do. It was fun to draw, and I did put out I did 8 pages of comic, and I made a little teaser of those 8 pages, and I put it out, and then everyone was clamouring for more. When's Death Fist coming at you? And where's Death Fist? Where's the Death Fist comic? When's it coming at you? And I'm really excited for Death Fist. When's Death Fist coming at you? And when the fuck's Death Fist coming out? And now it's out. This is volume 1. The plan is, see, I have a story in my head, and the plan is to have it in 2 parts, and this is part 1 of those 2 parts. So this is half of the entirety of Death Fist. It will take a bit of a turn after this half, I'll tell you that much. And this is that. It exists now as a thing. You can purchase it at ewan.com. Go to the store and buy it. It's 40 pages. I think it might be the biggest, thickest single issue of a comic I've done so far. It's got a bit of weight to it, actually. Look at that brand new cover for the artwork, or artwork for the cover if you're English. I painted that just for this, and it looked cool, didn't it? I was really happy with it. So just for off the basis, this was all in the teaser, but just so you're aware, start off as you would with hot dogs, guys selling hot dogs, Death Fist's hanging out, but you don't know it's Death Fist until he takes a bite of his hot dog, whips his fucking disguise off, lets everyone knows he am Death Fist, and he explains a little about what he is, what he does, how like the Grim Reaper does his job, he does it well, but every now and again some sneaky bugger evades death, somehow gets away from him. That's when they send in Death Fist with his Fist of Death trademark patent pending, and he tracks down these sneaky fuggers who escape death. He catches them and he punches them and punches them and punches them back down to where they belong. See, look, He punched this guy down so hard he fell through the earth into hell to be tortured by demons for eternity. So he wanders around until his fist senses tingle, and then he tracks down a bad guy. He finds him, and this is a bad guy. He kills kids or something. I don't know. I don't really care. And then he runs off. So he runs after him, and then a chase ensues. They're jumping over cars, and he's climbing on rooftops, and he's on top of trucks. He's working his way through crowds, climbing up a building, and jumps off the roof. And then, there's a rat. Isn't that cute? And everything. It's brilliant. There's hostages. There's tension. There's love and fear and hell and no heaven, but you don't need opposites of everything. Also, there's a lot of cool artwork, which is primarily the force pushing the whole thing forward, because if a comic doesn't have good artwork, what's the fucking point? It may as well just be written on a handful of post-it notes. Oh, this happened in the story, and then this happened, and then this happened. Brilliant. That was worth my time. Not really. Give me some good fucking artwork, you pricks. Like the artwork I produce, because I'm a good fucking artwork man who produce. Seriously though, I'm really, really happy with this. It makes sense because it's the latest thing I've done, but it's some of the best comic book work I've done that I'm most proud of in terms of storytelling, in terms of comic book structure, comic layouts and use of imagery and dynamic poses and stuff. The story's alright. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. It's a pretty good story. Certainly one of the best stories I've developed myself. Excuse me, and it's a culmination of over a year's worth of work. I work on it in between other shit. I have to do stuff to pay the rent, so I can't always just sit down and make an entire comic book as much as I might like to. But I did put in the work, little bits of time here and there, eventually getting enough work together to put in a comic book, and I put in a comic book, and now a comic book is a comic book you can buy. So if you're into that sort of shit, go buy it. Support me. Go to ewanagain.com. Buy my comic and other comics. Go to patreon.com/ewan and so. I was going to say do that just to support me if you like, but sign up for as little as $1 a month, and you can get a PDF of this if you're into looking at your comics digitally, which is fine if you're into that, but it's a bit of a shit way of looking at comic books, really, isn't it, if we're being honest? Whereas you need the smell of the paper and the ink, and you need to be able to chew on it and tear it up and coat your bedroom floor with them and live like a hamster in a cage, which is really all we are. We're just a bunch of hamsters in cages. But sometimes a nice, pretty comic book comes along for us to look at, and that makes it all okay.